Hi students, welcome back to Odelia Vlogs. So we have completed module 1 of Principles and Methodology of Management. Very important questions are related to module 1 for your external exam. Functions of management, nature, scope and importance of management. Then what are the contributions of Henry Fayol, F.W. Taylor. I told you F.W. Taylor, you have to study both the elements and tools and principles of scientific management. And in case of Henry Fayol, I gave you a mnemonic. Is a mnemonic? I see you, dad, use roses. Then you have to study Chester Bernard, Peter F. Drucker, Gilbert's, Gantt, and Max Weber, and all related to your syllabus you have to study. And you will have surely an essay question, a 5 marks question in section B, and in section A for 2 marks. So study first module very well. Now today we are going to the second module, planning. What is planning actually? Whenever we are going to attend a function, we plan ourselves how to groom, how to what to wear in that function. Or sometimes if it's your sister's marriage, sister is the main attraction of the function, and how she should be wearing, what are the dresses, how gorgeous she should look. These are all related to planning. Similarly, in a business organization, a manager has to think in advance what to do, when to do, how to do, and so on, so that the business organization develops very well. So we can go to the presentation. Dear students, we can study planning and we can complete this in 2 parts. In the first part, we are studying the following contents: planning, its meaning and definition, characteristics and importance, limitations of planning, types of plans, the steps in planning, relationship between planning and controlling, and MBO. First of all, we can study the meaning of planning. Planning is the primary function of a manager. To get things done by others, every manager has to plan. Thus, planning is the essence of management process. There are different definitions for planning, and I am giving an easy definition. Planning is the determination of what is to be done, who is to do it, and how the results are to be evaluated. We can study the nature or characteristics of planning. First one, planning is goal-oriented. Planning is a means towards the achievement of goals. Planning is meaningless if it does not establish the goals and objectives of an organization. Second one, planning is a primary function. The other functions of management like organizing, directing, staffing, controlling, etc. can be performed only after doing necessary planning. So without planning, no other function can be performed in an organization. Third one, planning is all pervasive. Planning is a function of each and every manager, irrespective of the level and area of his operation. The top level management prepares long term plans. The middle level management formulates departmental plans for the medium term. And the lower level management prepares operational plans for short terms. Fourth point, planning is an intellectual process. The manager has to think well before he fixes the objectives, selects alternative courses of actions, and make decisions. So planning is a mental work process. Next one, planning is a continuous process. Planning is a never-ending activity of a manager. Old plans have to be revised by him or new plans have to be prepared by him. So planning is an ongoing process. Next one, planning is forward-looking. All planning is done with an eye on future. So forecasting is the essence of planning. Next point, planning involves choice. From different alternative courses of action, the best alternative is selected, and that's how a choice is done carefully by a manager so that the processes in the organizations can be done smoothly. Next one is planning is an integrated process. Different plans constitute a hierarchy, and these different plans are interdependent and interrelated. So, planning is an integrated process. Last point is planning is directed towards efficiency. Planning involves the efficient utilization of various resources like land, labor, capital, machines, materials, etc. Every factor of production is put to efficient and economical use so that the result is more than the efforts employed. Now we can go to the next point, importance of planning. First one is focuses attention on objectives and results. Planning makes objectives concrete and tangible and forces the members of the enterprise to work hard to achieve the objectives and the results. Second point, it reduces uncertainty and risk. Planning helps in reducing uncertainties of the future as it involves anticipation of future events. Necessary provision can be made in the plans to offset all the uncertainties in the future. Next point, provides sense of direction. Planning directs human efforts into endeavors that contribute to the accomplishment of goals. Thereby, it will avoid drifting into any aimless activities. Fourth point, encourages innovation and creativity. Planning encourages innovative and creative thinking among the managers. Thus, it creates a forward-looking attitude among the managers. Next point is helps in coordination. Planning is the best stage for the integration of diverse forces of work. An overall plan helps to coordinate all the activities of various departments in an organization. The sixth point is planning guides decision making. By predicting future, planning helps in taking future oriented decisions. With planning, there is a sound basis for decision making. Seventh point, planning provides a basis for decentralization. Planning helps in delegation of authority to the lower levels of management, and well-established plan serves as guides to the subordinates and thereby reduces the risk involved in the delegation of authority by the manager. Next point, provides efficiency in operations. Planning ensures the optimum use of available resources. It helps to reduce costs, increase economy, and use most efficient methods of work. Thus, planning improves the efficiency of the enterprise. Also, it saves time, effort, and money. The last point facilitates control. Planning provides the basis of control. Both planning and controlling are interrelated and thereby, just like the two sides of a coin, control cannot be established without plans. So plans serves as a standards for the evaluation of performance in an organization. Next, we can study the limitations of planning. It's also a sure question for your MG University exam. First one, lack of accurate information. Planning cannot ensure the accuracy and reliability of forecast and predictions because we are just forecasting what will happen in future. So we don't have enough information and that's a limitation of planning. Second one is time and cost. It's sometimes very costly compared to its contributions. Also planning delays actions. So it's a time consuming activity. Third one is inflexibility. Planning is sometimes inflexible and is reluctant to adopt changes. Next point, resistance to change. Again, the same meaning. That is, it is very rigid. Once there is a rigidity, it will not change. So, that is also another limitation of planning. Next one, lack of ability to plans. Planning need not be efficient sometimes because plans usually remain on paper. They are not put into operation sometimes. So, what we plan is not able to perform. Next, false sense of security. Planning encourages a false sense of security against the risk of uncertainty. Seventh point is environmental constraints. Vital role in planning. Environmental constraints, just like technological factors, social factors, legal factors, economic, and other outside factors. These are environmental constraints and they play a vital role in planning. Organizations cannot have any control on this, and it is also a limitation of planning. Now we can go to the next, that is the topic types of plans. It's very, very important, and you have to study according to the syllabus the 7 types. First one is objectives. Objectives or goals are the future destination or desirable state of affairs that the organization wants to attain. They represent not the end point of planning, but the future destinations towards which other functions of management, such as organizing, directing, staffing, and controlling, are directed. These objectives constitute the basic plan of the organization. The objectives should be stated as clearly as possible so that each employee of the organization can understand them very easily. Second one is strategy. Strategy is the complex plan for bringing the organization from a given posture to a desired position in future period of time. It's a course of action developed by relating the strengths and weakness of an organization with the opportunities and threats arising out of the changing environment. Third one, policies. Policies are general statements formulated by the organization to guide managers in decision making. The policies provide general guidelines and parameters within which managers have to make decisions consistent with the objectives. The policies pre-decide issues, avoid confusion, and provide a unified framework with other plans. An organization formulates policies in respect of various areas of operations such as production, distribution, finance, purchase, etc. Next is procedure. Procedure is a chronological sequence of steps to be undertaken to enforce a policy and to achieve an objective. Procedures lays down the specific manner in which a task is to be performed. It is a planned sequence of steps for performing repetitive activities in a uniform manner. Procedures are formulated on the basis of research and analysis of various components of work to be done. Related to action, procedures mostly originate at lower levels. Fifth one is rules. Rules are prescribed guides for conduct or action. They specify what should be done or not to be done. Rules are made in writing to avoid confusion and are impersonal in nature. Rules demand strict compliance. Their violation is generally associated with some sort of disciplinary action. Rules facilitate discipline and uniformity of action. Rules facilitate discipline always in an organization, whether it be any business organization. Rules are very essential and that should be in writing to avoid any confusion. Next, we can study budget. Budget is a plan which states expected results of a given future period in numerical terms. It's a plan of action or blueprint designed to achieve a specific goal. It may be expressed in time, money, or other units. A budget may reflect capital outlay, cash flows, production, and sales targets. A budget is generally prepared for 1 year. It expresses organizational objectives in financial and physical units. A budget is an instrument and it can be either prepared for all activities undertaken and performed in an organization or specific operations such as expense budget, cash budget, sales budget, capital budget, or production budget. Next, we can study what is a program. Programs, it is a comprehensive plan designed to implement the policies and accomplish the objectives. It spells out clearly the steps to be taken, resources to be used, and the time period within which the task is to be completed. It is it also indicates who should do what and how. In business, programs are used in various areas, just like developing a new product, training programs, advertising program, expansion program, etc. A program serves as a useful guide in day-to-day operations. It's action-based and result-oriented. It helps to maintain motivation among the employees. Steps in planning, this very important question. It can come as an essay question or also as a 5 marks question. So the steps are: first one, awareness of opportunities. Before starting with actual planning, one must be aware of the opportunities that exist. Finding answers to questions like, will the organization be benefited? If yes, how? Etc. will help to find the opportunities. So we had to check the strength and weakness, opportunities as well as threats. Once the opportunities are perceived, other steps are to be undertaken. Second one, establishment of objectives. At this stage, major organizational and unit objectives are set. Objectives specify the results expected and indicate the endpoints of what is to be done. The organizational objectives should be specified in all key result areas. Its short form is KRA apostrophe S. KRAs are those which are important for organization in achieving its objectives. These are identified on the basis of organizational objectives. Third point, establishment of planning premises. Planning is done for future which is uncertain. Therefore, certain assumptions are made about the future environment. These assumptions are known as planning premises. It's very important 2 marks question. What is a planning premise? They should be developed by the scientific forecasting of future events. The plan will be suitable only when the premises are correct, and hence for the success of planning, it is vital to develop sound planning premises. The next point is developing alternative course of action. An action can be performed in several ways, but there is a particular way which is the most suitable for the organization. It means finding out and examining all the available alternatives. Fifth step is evaluation of alternatives. This step consists in evaluating the various alternatives. A number of methods have been developed to evaluate the various alternatives. And from these alternatives, we have to evaluate which is the best. That is the sixth step, selection of the best alternative. It includes the selection of the most suitable alternative course of action. It's a real point of decision making. After evaluating the various alternatives, the best and the fittest alternative is selected. Seventh point, formulation of derivative plans. In addition to the basic plan, derivative plans are also prepared. Derivative plans are sub-plans and departmental plans which supports the basic plan. Eighth step, determination of the sequence of activities. After formulating the basic and derivative plans, the sequence of activities should be determined. Ninth step, execution of the plans. Once a plan is made out, it is to be implemented. Hence, this is an important step in the process of planning. The last step, evaluation of the plans. Follow-up measures should be provided. It helps to adopt corrective measures. It's very, very important. You have to study this. As such, the steps should be in the order, this order itself. Okay. Now we can come to the types of plans. Okay. Before that, we have to study the relationship between planning and controlling. Okay. We can study that relationship between planning and controlling. Planning and controlling are interrelated. As I said, they are the two sides of a coin. Just like planning and controlling, planning without controlling holds no meaning. Once the plans are formulated, it should be monitored and evaluated. So it is interrelated and interdependent. Second point, planning and controlling are inseparable twins of management. Again, they are just like two sides of a coin as they cannot be separated. Third one, planning is the base of controlling function as controlling involves measurement of performance against the standards to analyze deviations and take proper corrective actions. Fourth point, planning without controlling is meaningless because in the absence of controlling, it is impossible to monitor the progress and keep a check on the proper implementation of plans. Fifth point, relationship between planning and controlling is a sure question for your exam. So you have to study this very well. Don't skip the 6 points. So the fifth point, planning involves thinking and deciding about what is to be done and how it is to be done. But controlling involves assessing and evaluating the work as against the set standards and taking required corrective measures. Sixth point, planning is prescriptive whereas controlling is evaluative. Planning involves creative thinking, imagination, and sound judgment. But controlling ensures that such decisions are converted into desired actions. Thus, planning is prescriptive, whereas controlling is evaluative. Now we can go to the different slides. Okay, now we can go to MBO. Actually, I told you the different types of plans. Anyway, MBO. It is a both philosophy and a technique of management. It was introduced by Peter F. Drucker, and I have taught you that in first module. Okay, now just refer that Peter F. Drucker's PPT presentation. Now we can study MBO in detail. We have to study the steps in MBO process, and it will be a question for you in 5 marks. Never it has come for an essay question, so just study the steps in MBO process. The first one is preliminary goal setting. The first phase of MBO is the clarification of the objective which the organization is to attain. The long-term overall goals of the enterprise are laid down in the key result areas. Just I told you before, KRA, apostrophe S, KRAs. Okay. The organizational objectives are achieved through individuals. That's the second step, setting subordinates objectives. Therefore, each individual must know what he is expected to achieve. Third step, recycling objective. MBO is a two-way process in which the superior suggests a goal that is acceptable to the subordinate. Thus, under MBO, goal setting is a joint and interactive process and not just direction from the top. Fourth point, action planning. Once the goals are established, action programs are developed for their achievement. Fifth step is periodic performance reviews. At specified intervals, progress towards the accomplishment of goals is reviewed in consultation with subordinates. Such reviews are made to identify shortcomings and to take timely steps to improve the results. The last step in MBO is final appraisal. A thorough evaluation of performance is made at the end of the year usually. Achievements are analyzed and rewards are decided. Monetary and non-monetary awards are given to the best employees. So this is the end of our planning module 2, part 1, and in part 2 we will study decision making. If you have any doubts, you can chat in the comment box. Thank you.